Hey guys, it's Reynad here, and I'm pretty excited to bring you my first video for TempoStorm.com. Really excited that the site's finally launched, and yeah, I'm looking forward to some of the content we can bring out for you guys. Anyway, I thought I would start off with doing kind of a refresher course on the Zoo deck that got super popular after I made the original YouTube video. It's like one of the most popular decks on ladder, and despite how many people I see playing it, they're still making a lot of these mistakes that end up costing them a ton of value in a lot of games, honestly. Even at high ranks when I play against other people playing Zoo. So I kind of wanted to go over the newer list of it since the that old YouTube video, and play a few games to kind of show you guys some of the little things you might be missing and really how you should approach the games when you play the deck. So real quick on the cards, Soulfire, that didn't change. Abusive Sergeant wasn't in the original list, but I think that's definitely a mistake, especially when I play Shieldbearer. It's just so many stats for the mana, and it's kind of like a Bluegill Charger for 1 mana. Like you get a 2/1 and you get 2 immediate damage. It just gives you so much board control. And when you play Shieldbearer, like any card that gives it power turns this into such an absurdly powerful creature that it's really just a mistake not to play it. It's also really good with Argent Squire, all that stuff. Just really good at trading up if any of your creatures stick. But yeah, Argent Squire, Flame Imp, those cards, you know, OP, Shieldbearer, OP, Voidwalker. Shieldbearer, I'm just gonna go over one more time quick. It kind of serves the role of Voidwalker. It protects your 1 health minions from other people's hero powers, like Rogue and Druid hero power. But on top of that, it's just a pile of stats. Like you get 4 stats for 1 mana, right? Compare that to like Abusive Sergeant or Leopard Gnome. You get 3 stats. So you get 4 stats, and then as soon as you give it power, you get this ridiculously undercosted creature. And it just, when you're ahead on board, they have to kill your Shieldbearer before they can kill your creatures that are outputting damage. So really powerful, just really, really strong for the mana cost. I definitely do not recommend cutting this guy. He's one of the cards that makes, Direwolf Alpha so strong, for example. Anyway, Voidwalker, just really phenomenal 1-drop in the deck. Young Priestess, probably the weakest 1-drop, honestly, but I just kind of want another one because you really want double 1-drop when you go second. If you don't happen to draw a Flame Imp, an Argent Squire, a Voidwalker, or a Shieldbearer, which does happen sometimes, you still want to be able to play a 1-mana card when you go first. Just another aggressive dude. Also helps protect your guys from hero powers, but not really because it's vulnerable to hero powers itself. Monty Berserker wasn't in the original list, but I needed another 2-drop because the curve was a little too high in the last deck. A few too many 3s. Argent Commander was not correct, which I'll go over. But yeah, Monty Berserker is good against AoE like Swipe and Lightning Storm. If they have to swipe your other, like they pretty much have to swipe him, right? That's the guy they have to target. Because if they don't, then he has 5 power and they're dead. So. Good pile of stats, strong card. Pretty much the best 2-drop. I tried other stuff, Sunfury Protector. I tried Master Armorsmith, which might be better. I'm not 100% sure yet, but anyway, yep, just to lower the curve. Direwolf Alpha, 4 stats for 2 mana is just ridiculous, and 2 of those stats have charge basically, because when you play him in the mid game, 2 of that damage happens right away, which is really strong for a 2-drop. That's just, it's pretty much the most stats per mana that you can get. On 2 mana, so that's why he's still in the deck. Also OP with Shieldbearer, all that. Knife Juggler, his deck plays a ton of little dudes, so this is pretty much the second best 2-drop. Really strong, great against other weenie decks. When I say weenie decks, I mean decks with small creatures that the Juggler can actually kill off, like the Zoomir and stuff like that, Murlocs. Anyway, Harvest Golem, that's the 3-drop, along with Shattered Son Cleric that I chose to keep in the deck. Shaman's gotten pretty popular, so Shattered Son Cleric isn't, not Shattered Son Cleric, Scarlet Crusader isn't quite as good as he used to be because he dies to Earth Shock, this guy, and that's pretty obnoxious. But just outside of that, I think Harvest Golem's a bit better. It's got that extra butt on it, so you can use it with Defender of Argus and kind of make a better taunt creature. It's just a little bit stronger all around, I would say. Also gives you a second trigger off Knife Juggler. If this dies and you have a Knife Juggler out, little stuff like that all comes up. Anyway, that's the 3-drop I prefer. Shadow Sun Cleric, again, another way to buff Shieldbearer. When you play this card in your deck, you really should be playing pretty much anything that buffs its power. It's just, and Shadow Sun Cleric's like good outside of Shieldbearer too. It's basically a 4/3 for 3 mana, except 2 of those stats, 1/1 stats, have an immediate effect right away. So it has charge basically. Like, and I know I use that phrase a lot, but it's like a common theme. You want your cards to have an immediate impact on the board, because when it's turn 7 and 8, when you play a 2-mana card, you need it to do something right away. Otherwise, you're just gonna fall too far behind. Because a 2-mana card normally wouldn't have that much effect on the board on turn 7. Most decks could ignore it. But since all these cards have an immediate effect, aside from like Amani Berserker and stuff, you know, they're still good in the late game and mid game. Anyway, Dark Iron Dwarf, this is the card that basically replaced Argent Commander. There were basically two problems with Argent Commander. Number one, he's really bad with Doomguard. Anytime you play 2 Doomguards in your deck, when you play cards that cost more than 5 mana, it's really awkward because you can't really play Doomguard when you have an Argent Commander in your hand. You don't want to pitch that 6-drop. So you really want to be able to dump your hand on the table before you play Doomguard, and that's how you maximize the value out of this card. And on top of that, anytime I had 6 mana and I could play an Argent Commander, Dark Iron Dwarf plus Life Tap was pretty much better anyway. I mean, Dark Iron Dwarf gives you a 4/4, which is better stats than a 4/2, and 2 of that damage is immediate rather than 4. Although you do need a creature for that 2 damage. But, you know, we play so many little dudes, cards like Shieldbearer. The whole deck is built around getting creatures to come into play and stay there. That usually this Battlecry will have a target, and it's just a much stronger card than Argent Commander. Anytime I have 6 mana, like I said, I want to be life tapping and playing a Dwarf rather than playing Argent Commander, almost always. Argent Commander is a little better when you're top decking and your hand's completely empty, but those situations are pretty rare if you play the deck right. And Defender of Argus, just a ridiculous amount of stats for its mana cost. This is pretty much the best Defender of Argus deck in the game. It's between this and Handlock, which is like, you know, the Molten Giant, Mountain Giant, Warlock deck that I'll be going over in a future deck tech. But yeah, so that guy hasn't changed. Still ridiculous with Argent Squire, just a great card in the deck. And Doomguard, of course, 5/7 charge for 5 mana. It's big, it's stupid, and it kills people. And yeah, let's get on to some games.